So let's look at the factory progress for the week, starting with Giga Shanghai. Look at all those vehicles. My goodness. We know now that thousands of them are being shipped to Europe. We know that a third shift has been brought on to provide lower cost cars to the Chinese market using more energy dense batteries. Here you can see the world's largest supercharger. Look at it. It looks dusty and fun. I like it. I like it a lot. Here is a filthy alley where some construction is going on. It's not bad. There are things that are still being developed that, we'll find out about later. We can see some dirt areas where there's brand new dirt right up here in the middle on the top. That's good. That's something new. Okay, in here, right there you see the pit. Right down there at the bottom. That's something new. That's an area, you can see it up top now. That's something new. Something is going to be built there. We don't yet know what. It is between the power plant and the battery factory. Oh no, wait, that's between the stamping press and the battery building. But they're building something there with heavy, heavy footers. Okay, so let's move on to Giga Berlin. I know it looks a bit bombed out, but it isn't. In the top, you can see there are two long buildings with a hallway between them, and in the bottom, you can see the hallway is getting pretty much filled out. They're using these large precast concrete structures to make it happen. As we move over, you're going to see in the bottom, you can see there's way more rebar. I assume those are for like the casting press, because that is a footer that is shockingly heavy. And kind of for fun, try to count how many cranes are on the horizon. Go ahead and leave me a comment trying to guess how many cranes there are at the site. You can also see in the bottom the rightmost row of the building is way more filled out. And here you can see the extent of the rebar. This is the side of the building. Doesn't look too different this week, though a bit. In a second here, you can see they're putting up siding panels at the bottom. So let's zoom in on that. Crow. That guy walks really fast. I assume he's listening to Benny Hill. Here you can see some of the heavy footings being put down at the end of the building, and they're quite big. And in the bottom, you can see that now, a week later, they're already putting columns onto them. Looking good. Looking good. Placing rebar is quite labor intensive, but these guys are very efficient at it. This is the Motorworks building, the one where we assume motors and or batteries will be constructed. It is beyond the point of dry-in. It is believed that they are now installing machinery inside. This is the roof of the main cement building, of the concrete building. You can see between the two, the center corridor is vastly more filled in at the bottom. What they're doing is they put down a watertight membrane, 2 layers of foam, and then another watertight membrane over that, which seems excessive to me, but great. I guess that's how they do. Here we can just see more of the stuff they're filling in. So many cranes, so much concrete. They have a batch plant on site to create more concrete, which apparently they're using because why else would you have it? Here you can see how much of the steel structure is going up atop the building. It's quite a lot. It's quite a lot. They're hoping to reach the point where in March they can hire workers to train and that they can begin production in June, meaning we could have 1 quarter of ramp and 1 quarter of production before the end of 2021. And you can see how different the progress is in just 1 week. So now let's move on to Giga Texas. And there isn't a lot to show this week, but what there is to show is amazing. In the top, you can see that little structure with a handful of footings before it. And in the bottom, you can see those footings extend quite a ways into the distance. Within the next week or two, we could see, 200,000 square feet of space enclosed. Moving to the south, what would that be? The southeast corner. This pit used to be, about 2 weeks ago, 1/3 smaller. And as you can see in the bottom, they're filling it with rebar. Boy, both of these angles are not great. I apologize for that. Moving back to the north, we can see they are constantly putting in new geopier foundations all throughout the site. The entire other side of the site that we just went down through already has basically all the geopiers you'd ever want. This side is getting them now, and they're getting them fast. And you can see in the bottom, they're getting even more. I mean, it's ridiculous. That solitary 4-pillar structure is, to the best we know, a test structure to validate the foundation work, but we don't have better information than that at this point. Just next to it, you can see a bunch of rebar being fabricated to be filled into additional holes, which are going to be cut and filled in the next few days, week at most. Heading up north, we're looking at the temporary concrete batch plant. And up here, we can see some pretty significant changes. In the bottom, you see some dirt being cut out where they're putting in some new structures. But the big thing to notice is in the bottom, you can see that the concrete batch plant is actually in operation. All of the hoppers are full of sand or concrete or whatever, and it's working. It's in operation. So here's just some bonus footage of some of the things that have been in progress over the last week. They've been bringing in new fill material to the big gap section between the two areas of the foundation to level it out. They've been drilling more holes for geopiers and filling them with aggregate. And the place is just kind of humming along. But the big thing we're going to look at, in the bottom at least, is how much rebar has been put in. And if you look at the height of it, it's not as high as those concrete footers you see. It's about 3 times higher, because this massive structure of concrete is going to bear the entire weight of the Giga casting machine, or maybe a heavy press for the Cybertruck. We're not sure, but we are excited. And the other thing we will be is happy to see you next week.